Good morning. This is X-Pulse AI Morning Mix. It's Tuesday, May 26, 2026. Today, Anthropic's mega round whispers, Nvidia's monster quarter, a Taiwan crackdown tied to Hopper servers, and what public might eventually mean for Mythos. Orion's here with me. Ready to roll?
Ready, let's jump in.
We're starting with the biggest money headline on the board, Anthropic, and an absolutely enormous funding round. What's being reported?
PYMTs reported on May 24th that Anthropic is set to close a round raising more than $30 billion, valuing it above $900 billion, after a quarter where revenue rapidly rose. The report also points to enterprise momentum and splashy hiring, like Andre Carthy.
Is this about hype or demand actually showing up in contracts?
The read is demand. If revenue is doubling and enterprises are standardizing on Claude-style deployments, investors will pay for distribution and retention. Still, 900 billion plus is new planet territory. Everyone will scrutinize margins, inference costs, and how sticky those customers really are.
Staying on the money trail, Nvidia just printed a giant quarter and surprised markets with a dividend move. What do we know?
Essex.org reported on May 24th that Nvidia beat estimates with record revenue of $81.6 billion and also announced a materially larger dividend. Management credited demand for its latest Blackwell-era chips, plus continued hyperscaler and enterprise spend on AI infrastructure.
For listeners, does the dividend signal anything beyond confidence?
It's Nvidia saying we can fund the roadmap and still return cash. It also pressures the ecosystem. If Nvidia's numbers are that strong, cloud providers and big enterprises are implicitly committing to keep spending because those GPUs don't buy themselves. Sadly, none of us get to expense one.
Now the darker side of GPU demand, alleged smuggling. What happened in Taiwan?
Tech Times reported on May 24th that prosecutors in Keelung raided 12 locations and detained Supermicro co-founder Wally Liao in a criminal case alleging forged documents were used to ship advanced Nvidia Hopper servers to China. It's framed as Taiwan's first formal crackdown tied to export control breaches on restricted AI hardware.
What does this change for companies buying or building server clusters?
Expect tighter compliance checks, more paperwork, more audits, and more scrutiny on server integrators and resellers. Even legitimate buyers may see longer lead times if vendors get conservative. And if enforcement ramps up, gray market supply gets riskier and more expensive.
Back to Anthropic, but on the model side, Mythos. They're hinting it could eventually be public. What's the story?
The Register wrote on May 25th that Anthropic says it intends to eventually release models with Mythos-level capability to the public once guardrails are ready. Mythos is described as a highly capable bug-finding and security model, and it's restricted today, used with government and defensive security partners.
When a security model is that strong, what's the real risk?
Dual use. The same tool that finds vulnerabilities for defenders can help attackers scale discovery and exploitation. Anthropic's signaling, public later, is basically a promise. If they can prove controls, monitoring, and safe deployment patterns, they'll widen access. But that bar is high.
Let's hit a few fast movers, starting with agents. Google's been pushing the always-on idea. What did they launch?
Tech Times reported on May 25th that Google introduced Gemini Spark at I/O 2026, a server-side 24/7 cloud agent that can execute tasks inside third-party apps like Canva, OpenTable, and Instacart via an integration protocol. It's rolling out as a US beta to AI Ultra subscribers.
And at the same time, people say models are getting stricter. What's that about?
The Street reported on May 24th that users are complaining models from Anthropic, Google, and others feel more restricted or lower performing. Providers nerfing features. Anthropic acknowledged changes that reduced some reasoning effort in Claude. Some of this is safety, and some is cost control.
Meanwhile, inside companies, meta drama, and outside, data centers hit real-world limits.
Tech Times reported on May 25th that Meta faced employee protests over a no opt-out program using employee-generated work to train models amid about 8,000 layoffs and role shifts toward AI. And Digitimes, also on May 25th, says server orders are strong, but power, labor, and financing are the bottlenecks. The killer app is electricity.
That's X-Pulse AI Morning Mix from X-Pulse for Tuesday, May 26th, 2026. Share it with someone who'd find it useful. See you next time.